everybody. This is the first of our new series, which is entitled Exposing the Lie. So we will have 3 of these. This is the first, so I will be talking about exposing the liar. And then the second, which will be tomorrow, this is going to look at how the liar affects our lives. And the third, the following day, is going to be how we find freedom. So a week or so ago, we ran a devotional called Who is Jesus? And we spoke about his character and the person he was, how he lived his life, what he has done for us. But we can't talk about Jesus without talking about his enemy. It would be wrong to do that because there was a reason that Jesus came to the earth. And he came because he wanted to restore the relationship between people and God, and he wanted to make a way for people to come closer to God because sin had separated them. And that sin came into the earth because of Jesus' enemy and our enemy. And so we can't talk about Jesus without talking about his enemy, and his enemy's name is Satan, or you might hear him referred to as the devil. And it's quite difficult to talk about him because in some ways it just seems really weird. He sounds like some sort of fictional character, fairy tale character who isn't actually real, and he doesn't get talked about very much because it's quite uncomfortable to talk about him because it just sounds so strange. But we can't talk about Jesus if we're not going to talk about Satan, because they are enemies, as is Satan our enemy. And in order to defeat him, we have to expose him. So in order for you to get freedom in your life, we have to talk about who your enemy is. And so in this first one just now, I'm going to talk about Satan. I'm going to talk about the devil and who he is. So we're all quite clear on who our enemy is. So it's interesting. If we go way back, Satan actually was in heaven. His name was Lucifer. He was the worship leader in heaven. It says he was very beautiful. He was a worship leader. He was in heaven. I mean, how incredible. But it says that, you know, in the Bible that Lucifer looked at God and wanted to elevate himself above God. He wanted to be greater than God. He became proud, and God saw that, and God cast him out of heaven, and he fell to the earth. And on the earth, we read in Genesis of when he encountered Adam and Eve in the garden, and he deceived Eve and Adam in the garden, and they gave him authority that he should never have been given. And from that moment on, he began his deception of people. Immediately, Adam and Eve felt shame, and it says in the Bible that they covered themselves. And since that encounter, people have been found themselves under attack from the enemy. Over all the centuries, the enemy has made it his sole aim to destroy people. It says in John 10:10, the thief has come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That is his purpose. Our enemy Satan, that is his purpose. That is what he has come to do. And it's important that we talk about these things, because otherwise he quietly goes around in the earth causing havoc in people's lives, and they don't even know he's there. They don't even know he exists. They blame themselves and their own thinking. They blame their mistakes, and they don't realize that often this enemy is behind things and causing problems and causing destruction in the earth. It is also really important just now just to look at our lives and think, how has that happened to me? You know, for some of us, we struggle with negative thinking, with negative thoughts. Sometimes, you know, we can be at home alone even just now, and for no reason we have a negative thought about ourselves, or maybe about somebody else or something that's happened in the past. We may have a negative thought about how we look, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about life, how we think people look at us. And we can start thinking about these negative thoughts, you know, and sometimes we can think, oh, it's just the way I think. But often it is the enemy attacking us in our minds and trying to wear us out and to kill and to steal our peace and to destroy us. You know, many of us, we struggle with things. I've struggled with fear in my life. Times when for no reason I would feel fearful about things and it would hold me back in life. There are people who struggle with anger and with rage and with bitterness and with unforgiveness. We struggle with addictions in our lives. And these are very real things, and they ruin our lives and they destroy people's lives. And often this is the enemy coming against us. It's the enemy who is feeding our minds with negative thoughts that cause us to reach out. Maybe we reach out to a bottle of alcohol. Maybe we reach out to a drug. Maybe we start to think negatively about ourselves. But within it all, it's all about destruction. And in ourselves, we are coming under this negative attack that we don't even realize is coming from an enemy who's very real and whose name is Satan. But the incredible thing here and the good news is that 2,000 years ago, when Jesus came and died on the cross, he took the authority back. Okay, he took the authority back from Satan. He took it back, and in 2 Colossians chapter 15, there's a verse there that says, and this is about Jesus, and having disarmed the powers and authorities, he, that's Jesus, made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross. So on the cross, Jesus took authority back. He defeated the enemy. He defeated our common enemy, Satan. He is completely defeated. The Bible says that for us who are believers, he is under our feet and he is defeated. But somehow, he still manages to affect our lives often. And the reason he is able to do that is because he lies to us. He lies to us. He pretends he has more authority than he actually has. He lies to us, and he puts fear into us, and he speaks negatively to us, and he's discovered that when he does that, he can wear people out. He can cause them to shut down. He can cause them to feel bad about themselves. He can cause them to reach out for something to drink or a substance or something to try and make people feel better. And all the time he's chipping away in our character and trying to make us feel bad about ourselves. And so in this series, I'm going to highlight who he is. I'm going to look in the next time I talk tomorrow, we're going to look at how the enemy can get a hold of us, how we can get a foothold in our lives, how he starts really deceptively, just chipping away and speaking negatively to us and bringing us down and filling us with fear and filling us with shame and guilt, so we feel so bad about ourselves. We pull away, and our thinking becomes harmful, our behaviour can become harmful. And I'm going to show you how he works, how he gains access. And then in the third talk, we're going to look at how you can find freedom from this, because it is possible to find freedom from the things that are entangling you, holding you down, from the things that are destroying your family, destroying your home, from the things that are destroying your character, from the things that you're struggling with. And we're going to look at this together, because this is exciting news that you can be liberated from the things that hold you back because of what Jesus did on the cross. And sometimes we forget the power of what Jesus did on the cross. You know, it talks in Luke chapter 10, Jesus is sending out the 72 into the earth to talk about him, to talk about the freedom that Jesus brings. And these men go out, you can read about it in that chapter, and they're not sure of what kind of reception they're going to get, but Jesus said, when you go out there, you may or may not get received well, but go out and speak anyway. And then it says in the end of chapter 10, as the 72 come back, they say to Jesus, you know, it says, when the 72 disciples returned, they joyfully reported to Jesus. They said, Lord, even the demons obey us when we use your name. Yes, he told them, I saw Satan fall from heaven like lightning. Look, I have given you authority over the power of the enemy, and you can walk among snakes and scorpions and crush them. Nothing will injure you. But don't rejoice because evil spirits obey you. Rejoice because your names are registered in heaven. It's amazing the power we can have. It's amazing the authority that we can carry when we know Jesus. You may be listening just now. You may be a believer. You may be a Christian, and you didn't realize how much authority you personally carry. Often we pray to Jesus about things, But what we can actually do as believers is we can play into situations and we can see them changed. And we can take the authority that we stand in and we can speak to the storm in our life and tell it to move. And you might not know Jesus, and you might be suffering at home. You might be suffering from depression, anxiety, fear, shame, guilt, addiction. You may have problems in your life and you don't know how to fix them. Well, the good news to you is that Jesus knows how to fix them. And you can reach out to Jesus. You can ask him into your life, into your heart. You can turn away. You can choose to turn away from the stuff that's not good for you. And you can focus your eyes on Jesus. And the good news is that he will give you freedom from these things that are holding you back and holding you down. So I want to encourage you over these next 3 days, ask Jesus to help you. If you're struggling with fear, if you're struggling in your emotions, if you're struggling with alcohol addiction, if you're struggling with something, then don't feel shame. You come to Jesus. And over these next 3 days, we're going to look at how Jesus can help you and help you find freedom. And I would encourage you, there's lots of worship music on our church page. Get worship music on in your home. It will soften your heart. It will draw you into God's presence. It will take you close to him. And as you get close to him and get to know him better, then you will have faith to believe that you can find freedom. So listen to this good worship music, over the next 2 or 3 days. If you have a Bible, open it and ask Jesus to speak to you. If you hear negativity and you have negative thoughts, you refuse to have them. You just say, I refuse to believe that lie. And I'm going to believe the truth of what Jesus says about you. And I would tell you now what Jesus says about you is you're accepted, you're loved, and you're forgiven. And tomorrow we're going to look into this more deeply. And the next day we're going to look at how you find freedom. And I would encourage you to tune in. Your enemy and my enemy is real. His name is Satan, and we are going to expose his lies, and we are going to look together about how Jesus has brought freedom to us. These are exciting times, and could be your time to find freedom from whatever you're struggling with in your life. And then next week, we're going to enjoy listening to various people as they talk about what was the lie that they listened to. How did it affect their lives, and how did Jesus bring them freedom? And it will give you hope for the future. So I hope you'll stick with us over the next few days and that you will find freedom too. Thank you.